go, baby!
Welcome, all you rockers, rockettes, and everything in between. This is And the Podcast Will Rock. This is the show where we take a deep dive into the catalog, the discography of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Van Halen. One song at a time by the spin of the wheel. You know how it goes. I, of course, am one of your co-hosts, Mark Kamier. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, how you feeling?
I'm feeling tired. It's been a long week, and I just recorded 3 episodes of my Aerosmith show, and I accidentally launched a new podcast on Wang Chung on that Aerosmith show that I got to, I guess, plan for and launch here pretty quick. So I'm tired, but I can't imagine I'm as tired as you, Mark, because yesterday was a pretty big day for you. You celebrated your birthday.
I did, you guys. I am 1 year older, 1 year wiser, as they like to say. Do I feel it? Not yet, but perhaps soon. At the time of this recording, let it be known that I'm fine. I feel great. I feel pretty okay. I'm learning to be at ease with the fact that I am no longer considered a young man. I'm still kind of youngish, but not super young as
in times of need.
Yes, and these are the times of need.
These are this isn't just a really tired and half inebriated producer accidentally hitting a button at all.
Don't even take that out. It's great. It's fun. This is what you guys come for. You come here for the laughs and stuff. But yes, I just celebrated my birthday, so thank you for that. And I look forward to the Wang Chung podcast. Let me just throw that in there while we're at it.
Well, I'm very happy you had a great birthday. We're recording this the day after. It was also kind of apropos because this is also recording this on March 24th, the anniversary of not only Van Halen 2, but of 5150. So 2 classic Van Halen albums were released on this date.
I had no idea that my birthday fell so close to such iconic albums and from a band that I adore, that I love, that would become so influential to me in so many ways. It's amazing. It really is kind of a small universe, isn't it? So my not to get too ahead of ourselves with the show, because we like to banter, but man, if I have to really manifest a track for tonight, it's gotta be at least a track from one of those 2 albums. I have my preferred album that I'd like to hear from, but honestly, I would be more than happy if it's at least this track from one or the other.
I agree. And I'm leaning more, because we've had some great Van Halen 2 tracks. I'm leaning more towards 5150. And I read a tweet today from our good friend Chris L from Pot of Thunder, and he said Summer Nights was his favorite track from 5150. I would love to get Summer Nights. I love that song. My favorite song, I think, of all time from Van Halen is on that album. I don't want to tip my hand and say what it is.
All right.
But I'm really kind of hoping that maybe come up. But I wanted to ask you, Mark, because your special lady friend, Christy, was very adamant that she, had we not voted how we voted last week on our song from Balance, there might have been hell to pay. And I thought this would be a more divisive song, because a lot of the comments coming back from people were like, I don't really dig this song. We did not enough from Balance, which is a very kind of paint by numbers, cookie cutter type ballad from Van Halen. But the poll we put on Twitter is actually 75-25 in favor of not enough. So I was surprised actually when hearing the comments, they were so negative, yet the poll showed that it was quite positive. But Christy actually came out and said in a tweet that had we not voted that way, oh boy, there may have been hell to pay. Do you have any more enlightenment that you can shed on that?
I could only say that the song had sentimental value for various reasons, and I am glad I voted the way I did, and I will leave it at that. But she did, however, do her usual manifestation of the song. This time, it wasn't so much the song that she wants to hear, the particular track that I'm keeping secret until we land on it. This time, she manifested a 5150 track in light of the anniversary.
Awesome. Well, and now we're not going to get one because we've talked it up. how much we want 5150, this damn wheel.
Well, then I guess we're getting Van Halen too. Oh man,
I would be okay with that. I love Van Halen too.
I know.
I'm not sure there's a bad track on that album. So, what do you say, Mark? Should we maybe give this damn wheel a spin and see what we get?
Oh, precious wheel, be kind. It's my post birthday. Give me a present, please.
All right, Mr. Hagar, take it away.
Here we go.
All right, wheel is spinning, and we're coming down on. Oh, it's not going to be 5150, but it's a fucking great track. It's Panama. Panama from 1984. This is a big one coming off the wheel, Mark. I can't wait. I love it. I don't want to. I know I can't tip my hand, right? But I've been podcasting all goddamn day, and this is just the perfect way to end it off.
Talk about the gift that keeps on giving. Look, yeah, I mean, if you tune into the show just to hear what Corey and I vote for at the end, whether the yay or nay, whether it's what dreams are made of or the dream is over, then I mean, that's cool. I'm glad that you do. But come on, man. Like sometimes when the wheel lands on a song that is a huge hit, and we've already talked about we're fans, we're not going to say no to it. Come on. And this is Panama. So yeah, it is what it is. So I hope you still stick around and enjoy the ride.
Arguably the best song on 1984, which is one of their best albums, would you say? Like,
well, that's a bold statement considering what's on this album.
Well, let's go to the track listing. We have 1984 instrumental, and then Jump, which was their big single off that, right? And then Panama, and then Top Jimmy, which is a low-key fantastic track. Drop Dead Legs, which is in the conversation for best track off that album. Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait, Girl Gone Bad, and House of Pain. Like, oh, the height of the Van Halen era, you can almost say, like, commercially with Dave, this was the height. And of course, the next year he would be gone doing covers on his EP Crazy from the Heat, and Van Halen would be hooking up with Sammy Hagar. But 1984 is such a seminal moment for this band because they've been working and needing a break. They finally got a break between Diver Down in 1984 where they could just kind of work on the music. Ted Templeman, of course, comes back to produce. This whole album is only 33 minutes long. No covers on this album. It's all originals. Michael McDonald actually features on this album a little bit too in the songwriting. But
of course he does.
Of course he does. But this is Van Halen. Like, this is the big album I think that broke them. And of course, at the beginning of MTV, Jump was the big video. This is how I got into Van Halen, was watching the Jump video and seeing Eddie, drunk or stoned out of his mind, miming along the Jump. Fantastic video. And Panama was one of the singles, of course, the third single off this album, released in June of 84, and tremendous fun video and just one of their all-time classic tunes.
Just a quick caveat to that whole statement.
Ramble.
It's just, well, I mean, it's just, well, you know what? I had a point to that, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. I got lost in it, but yeah, no, this is absolutely one of their humongous hits. I don't even think we need to talk too much about it because if you listen to Van Halen whatsoever, how do you not know this song? It's the same thing I said about Hot for Teacher. It's the same thing I've probably said about several songs that we've listened to, but like, this is Panama. You absolutely know this song if you have ever heard a Van Halen track in your life. So yeah, this is, I'm not mad at this whatsoever.
And it's so good. This is one of the few tracks that Sammy would do on tour, after 85. And if you look back at their live album, Live Right Here, Right Now, from the For Unlawful tour, they were still doing Panama. He wouldn't do a lot of songs from the Dave era. He did Jump because that was their number one, obviously. But Panama was kind of the other one, the other big one from 84 that he would cover because it's just that goddamn good.
It is. It's again, not to get too ahead, but it's exactly the kind of rock song you would expect from Van Halen, and it hits all the right notes, so to speak. But don't take my word for it. As soon as we start playing it, you'll see.
All right, here we go. This is Panama, released June 18th, 1984. Now, you can't relate to this, Mark, but this takes me back to being a kid in 1984, watching not MTV because I'm Canadian. I was watching Much Music and seeing the video, and you have David Lee Roth, with the aviator goggles on and the striped pants and the ghetto blaster on his shoulder, and he's on that harness and that line, and he's kind of floating across the stage. Such a great fun video and such a great intro to a great rockin' song.
I cannot, you're right. I cannot relate to being a kid in 1984. It was squeaked by me just a little bit there, but I have seen this video many a time. And my favorite part of this video is Michael Anthony swinging on that line, playing a bass in the shape of a Jack Daniels bottle. I just always thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
And you wouldn't be wrong. It is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard to stop the song to try and talk about it on occasion because I just want to hear it all the way through. But
right,
everything
but
about this album is great. Well, we will try, but it's going to be all gushing. I'm sorry, and like I said, I've been podcasting all day. I'm tired and I'm grumpy, but this just brought me right back because wow, what a great tune to be covering here this week. All right, so listening to that first little bit there, jump back, what's that sound? Here she comes, full blast and top down, hot shoe, burning down the avenue, model citizen, zero discipline. Apparently, David Lee Roth was on the Howard Stern show and talked about the meaning of this song. And he was accused of only writing lyrics about sex, drugs, and fast cars. But David Lee Roth realized he never actually written a song about a fast car. And so he started working on Panama. And that's where that kind of comes down, right? Hot shoe burning down the avenue. He's writing this about a song, but it kind of morphs into a song also about a stripper. So the finished lyrics were inspired by both a stripper and a fast car, which is quintessential Diamond Dave, isn't it?
It kind of makes me feel like people got him confused with, Sammy, because Sammy famously had a song, I Can't Drive 55. So perhaps, maybe there's some correlation there. I get it. But that's funny that you mentioned that because as we'll hear later in the song, there is a moment where you hear an engine revving and he's talking about, being inside a car. So yeah, that tracks. That absolutely tracks. I just got to say, man, the opening riff to this and then the lead into the main riff is just, this is just pure. We talk a lot about what is party rock, and Van Halen, especially the Roth days, is like that's party rock. Whereas maybe Sammy stuff is more kind of the deeper sort of love ballads, whatever you want to call it. Not all of them, of course, but a lot of it. But this is quintessential party rock. This is when I think of party rock Van Halen, one of the first ones that come to mind is the riff of Panama, because I mean, doesn't this just make you want to party?
It really does. And this is David Lee Roth at the height of his powers, like lyric writing, singing. He sounds fantastic. The band, of course, sounds amazing playing this song. One of the first songs recorded actually at Eddie's studio, 5150, but one of the last songs they would record with David in this era of Van Halen before he would leave the band and they would bring in Sammy Hagar. Yeah, it really is.
That's that's so, because this just sounds like kind of I don't want to say paint by numbers, but this just sounds like something where like everything was clicking and everything is vibing. And so, it almost feels like they knew they had a hit right away, like when you listen to it. But I guess behind the music, as it were, is like, no, this was right before the outs. And that's just kind of funny. It's ironic in a way, I guess. But nevertheless, if this is the one you're going to go out on, hey, hats off.
And I wonder, and I don't know, I'm speculating, if Dave knew at this point if he was about to break away from the band, because he wanted to kind of go and do his own thing with like Crazy from the Heat and doing all those covers and stuff. And I honestly can't remember if I ever read it, if this is the sound of a band breaking up. We talked about it on Not Enough. Balance was a very dysfunctional album for them, and they held it together, and it doesn't sound like the sound of a band breaking up. And this sounds like and this whole album, but this song especially, is a band firing on all cylinders, like a Top Fuel funny car that appeared in the video that Motley Crue would co-opt for their song Kickstart My Heart. So I really kind of wonder, and I'm sure somebody out there knows for a fact, and will let us know what Dave was thinking at this point in Van Halen history. Was he thinking this band was going to keep going on and on and on, or was he thinking, it's time for me to leave and do my own thing? It certainly doesn't sound like it.
If only we had a music historian on the show to fact check us, because we're not historians, we're just fans.
And you know what? We're getting one in May. Eric Sennett from Van Halen News Desk has agreed to come on the show. Yeah, I don't want to bury the lead, but we're going to have a Van Halen historian who can answer all of our questions. So we can't wait for that, and I can't wait to hear more of Panama. So what do you say, Mark? Let's get back into
it.
All right. Now, you've been accused, Mark, of being a Diamond Dave hater from certain fans out there, especially when it comes to his lyrics. But you can't find fault with those lyrics, right? He's writing about a fast car, and it sounds great. Like he's really firing here.
I have been known to poke some criticisms at Dave's lyric writing. This is true. I didn't realize that was me just flat out hating, and that's funny you should mention it. And I was going to mention at the top of at that first verse, I think Dave is nailing it with the lyrics in this one. I'm not hating on it whatsoever. He's getting the point across to me, and it's not on the nose. He's just he's writing lyrically, like it fits the song, what the song is. He's not going too over the top with it. He's just doing what Dave does. And when he does it well, he does it very well. So I'm not hating, just so we're clear, everyone, not hating.
Yeah, some of Dave's best lyrics, I think, are in the song, don't you know she's coming home with me, you'll lose her in the turn. Like that's a racing term. You're talking about fast cars and fast women. This is Diamond Dave's wheelhouse, and and vocally he takes a lot of shit for how he sounds as a singer. 1984, Dave was sounding pretty damn good, I think, and he's right in his wheelhouse. Right, he's not, he doesn't have the range of a Sammy Hagar or anything like that, but he knows to keep it in his wheelhouse, and he is nailing it.
He has a formula, and he's not going to jump outside of the formula, for the sake of saying like, let's see what else I can do. Like, no, he's going to play to his strengths, and this song plays to his strengths. I would argue this song plays to everybody's strengths. So there's definitely no reason he should go to, whatever over the top is for David Lee Roth. There's no reason he should ever have to go that way, and I don't feel like he does. So it's perfect.
Absolutely. How great is that little uh-oh? It's kind of in the back.
That's one of my favorite parts.
I love that. Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. If you don't like Panama and you claim to be like a fan of rock and roll and classic rock, I don't know if I can take you seriously. Like, this is just top tier classic rock.
Yeah, I mean, even I would go so far as to say, like, are you even a Van Halen fan? Because I don't think you are. If you're like Panama, meh, like, Okay. All right. Do you even like the band? I don't know if you like the band.
Now, Mark, you got to appreciate how we had a killer little guitar solo in there, but it wasn't overly long, right? And then we kind of bring it down, right?
This is the brilliance of this song, okay? They hit you right off the bat on all cylinders. Like you're getting a full fast-paced like rock song, or not even fast-paced, but it's just a drive, right? No pun intended, fast cars, what have you. But it's a drive. It's a driving song, and it stays right there at an 11. And then you think there's nowhere for it to go except even higher with Eddie's solo, and I would dare say it does. Even though he doesn't do it for very long, he still goes full. We say this or I do anyway. We say this all the time. Eddie sometimes likes to show off, and then sometimes he plays a solo that fits the song. This is both. Because he's already showing off with the song, because the song is as I said, right at an 11. And so he's going to play a solo that's going to not only match it, he's going to get you more and more excited, because he is just the great Hambino on the fretboard, man. He's tapping away, he's sliding his fingers like all up and down it, man. He is just going full ham. And then when you think it couldn't possibly go any higher, you're right. And they bring it down. They slow it down a little bit. He gets a little bit quiet. This is called dynamics, folks. Okay. Because you can't be at an 11 all the time. You could, but you'd be a different band. You wouldn't be Van Halen. And this is what I think they're showing you. Like, okay, now we're going to take a little bit of a respite, give you a little bit. It's the drive's not going to go anywhere. It's just slow down just a bit before it comes right back at you, full attack. This is the brilliance of this song. And even Dave understood the assignment. He's not doing when he comes in here, he's not going to go like full zoop bop zibbity bop, what have you. He's like, no. He's like, I get what you're doing. I get what we're all doing right now. All right, I got you. And he does this sort of like pseudo spoken word thing coming up, and yeah. I love this. I love this moment. I guess you would call this the bridge. I just call it the calm before the returning storm.
Good call. And if I remember correctly, I believe Eddie kind of mentioned that this song was inspired somewhat by AC/DC's 3-chord rock style. I know he was a big fan of like Powerage and albums like that. Do you hear a little bit of that influence in a song like Panama?
Now that you mention it, yeah. Although I dare say, I don't dare say, I'm flat out saying it. Eddie's doing more than 3 chords, but I get where he's getting at with the whole with the inspiration behind it. It's the way he's playing the power chords, and it's just the power chord structure. AC/DC made that very, very famous, and a lot of bands have I wouldn't say duplicated, but they've imitated, and but they do it in their own style, and it works for them. Van Halen's no exception, because the key word in power chord is power. And if you're going to play like heavy rock and roll, or metal, then you have to have that power. Power chords are essential. So I totally get where he's coming from with this.
And one other thing I wanted to mention, and I may be mistaken, and please correct me if I am, but you mentioned in the video Michael Anthony's playing the Jack Daniels bass, and I think that was kind of a big deal, because MTV wouldn't allow like depictions of alcohol in videos at the time. I think there was a situation with ZZ Top where they had to remove like a beer can from a video or something, but because Jack Daniels whiskey made a custom bass for him, and he was playing the bass in the song, and MTV was not going to turn down a video from Van Halen in 1984 because they're not idiots. It was kind of a product placement kind of win at the time for Jack Daniels, that they had Michael Anthony playing this Jack Daniels bass, which he would become kind of famous for, and he played throughout his tenure with Van Halen.
If I'm not mistaken, it's just a quick shot, but it's kind of in a slow-mo. It might actually be during this section when the music slows down a little bit. But you see it full-fledged. I mean, it's clear enough to see that even as a young boy, when I first saw this video, I saw what it was, recognized it, and will always remember it. But even throughout the video, you only, if I remember correctly, and again, check me if I'm wrong, to all you guys watching the video, but I don't think you really see it all that. You don't see it featured all that much throughout the video. You see Michael, but I don't know if you actually see the bass in its full, Jack Daniels glory all that much until the shot when he's swinging by, and then there it is. So maybe they justified it that way, that it's only the quick shot, it's fine, and we can cut around it throughout the rest of the video.
It's interesting because I work in TV, and I know if I was shooting like we used to do a show on pool, so we had like different pool matches, and of course, pool players like to have a bottle of beer with them, and we'd always have to cut around shots of beer. But I think that's pretty ingenious to actually have the liquor product placement as part of the instrument, so that you can't really cut around it. And MTV, like I said, they're not going to turn down a video from Van Halen in 1984. Especially Van Halen was one of their top acts at the time, so kind of ingenious for Van Halen, a band kind of known for innovation. They were one of the first bands that actually took control of their own merchandising and sold their own T-shirts at gigs and made a ton of money that way. So, another little innovation maybe for the band here.
And to this day, right now, I mean, that's how bands survive. So, kids, when you go to live shows, buy some merch, because records don't sell like they used to. So buy the merch because it helps the band.
Good call. That's the only way they're making money nowadays, is from touring and from merch. It's certainly not from record sales and from streaming. So
no, streaming only gets you so far, and that's been a long fought battle even to this day.
Yeah, we're coming up to probably the creepiest moment of the song, so let's do it.
Yeah, we're running a little bit hot tonight. I can barely see the road from the heat coming on. Reach down between my legs, ease the seat back.
That line always creeped me out and made me feel kind of dirty, just the way David Lee Roth says, reach down in between my legs. Like, that's just kind of creepy.
I mean, I guess depending on how you interpret it, it can definitely be construed as creepy for sure. I always found it to be kind of funny, because it's like, who says that in a song? But then, you realize, like, well, it's Van Halen, so, why not? but again, he's not. Too. Yeah, and he's not using any metaphors, or anything like that. He's telling you exactly what's going down. So yeah, kudos for honesty, I guess.
She's my name, I'm buying, right behind it, will you be now? Got the feeling, flowers hearing, busy popping, ain't no stopping now.
So going back to the video, and I just remember this. Remember we talked about in Hot for Teacher, the band was trying to do that whole dance routine. And Alex had, for a drummer and one of the best drummers at rock, having no rhythm when it comes to dancing. I remember in the video for Panama, there's a shot of like David Lee Roth was in the middle, and there was two dancers beside him, and it was just David Lee Roth again wearing an outfit with like he had a little hat on and stuff and sunglasses, but they didn't put the whole band in that whole dance little sequence of the video, because they remembered what Alex was doing in the Hot for Teacher video. It's like, we'll just have David, and we'll just, have him 3 times on screen as opposed to having the whole band on there. I always thought that was kind of funny.
Oh yeah. I mean, what can you do? If you're Alex, I feel like he'd like, oh yeah, I get it. It's fine.
And I'm totally Alex Van Halen. I couldn't dance to save my life in a video either, but it was so prevalent in the Hot for Teacher video, and I can just see him in the Panama video saying, "You know what? We're not even going to try and have Alex dance. We'll just have David Lee Roth. We'll just triple it up here." And of course, David Lee Roth has he has the little rhythm gymnastics like ribbon thing going in the video, and like he's really working in the Panama video if you remember.
I called Eddie the great Hambino on his solo, but throughout the song it's Dave. Dave's the ham, and it's Diamond Dave. What do you want? But also big shout out to Michael Anthony with that super high harmony at the Ain't No Stopping Now. I love that moment. That's like, here comes Michael's time to shine. Here it goes. There it is with that high harmony. I love it.
All right, Panama from 1984, released June 18th on a B-side, was Drop Dead Legs and Girls Gone Bad in the UK. But man, Panama, one of their biggest hits. God, I hate burying the lead, but once this was spun by the wheel, it's like, oh, we know this is maybe top 5 Van Halen for me.
It absolutely is. So I mean, why don't we just collectively just give our opinions of this song right now before we start talking about it? Yeah,
sounds good. We don't have to play it twice. We know what this one's going to be. I'm so happy, Mark. I'm so happy. I had to deal with John Mariano for 3 Aerosmith shows, and I was so miserable coming into the Van Halen show. And this song just brought me right back. I love Panama. It's one of my favorite cuts of all time from Van Halen. Certainly one of my favorites from 1984. Certainly one of my favorite Diamond Dave songs. This is quintessential Van Halen party rock. The video is fantastic. The song is fantastic. Van Halen at the height of their powers. You can't go wrong. And if you vote, I'm going to put the poll out. That's what dreams are made of, or this dream is over. If anyone votes the dream is over on this song, you're not a Van Halen fan. This is Van Halen 100% through and through.
As far as I'm concerned, if the 80s had an anthem, a musical anthem, it's Panama. Okay. And that's not taking away any of their other catalog from the 80s whatsoever, or any other band or musician who has had a humongous hit in the 80s. But as far as I'm concerned, when you start talking about the 80s, Panama is definitely going to enter my brain. Just that opening riff, because it's a feel-good party rock riff. It's just a good feel-good party rock song. Everything about it. Dave's creepy, spoken word little interlude aside, but even so, to me it just makes me laugh just because it's funny. But I mean, he's not deterring from the content of what the song is about. He's not giving you some sort of like side story. No, he's telling you straight up what this is. He keeps it relevant. This is absolutely, at the very least, top 5 Van Halen tracks of all time. It absolutely is. There's not too much else to say about it other than it's Panama. It's Panama, baby.
And you know what?
I agree with you, Corey. If anyone says that the dream is over for Panama, 1, you're a contrarian and get out of here. And then 2, have you really listened to the song? Are you really a Van Halen fan? I don't know.
And I got to correct myself. I talked about the Hot for Teacher video coming before this one. It didn't. Panama was released in June of '84. Hot for Teacher in October. So,
okay.
So okay. I screwed up in that analysis, and I apologize. Maybe it was because they had the little section with Dave in the middle and the 2, Daves on either side of them. They thought, hey, let's just get the whole band in there and have them dance over this section of Hot for Teacher. And God bless you, Alex Van Halen. Tremendous rhythm as a drummer, not so much as a dancer. And I'm certainly not a drummer on anywhere near the scale of Alex Van Halen, but I dance a lot like him. So I can relate, and I feel bad. I'm sorry.
Supposedly, I'm a pretty decent dancer, according to some people out there. But
Really?
you get me, yeah. But you get me behind the drum kit, and I can't do it. So that's that instrument I don't belong behind. It has eluded me for years. I have tried. Believe me, I have tried. It's just not in the cards. So maybe there's a correlation there. If you can drum, you can't dance. But if you can dance, maybe drumming's not for you. I don't know. And I can't wait to hear the backlash for all the drummers who dance to come at me for that statement. It's fine. It's cool, you guys.
Yeah, it's fine. Bring it on. Like I said, we're not historians. We're not experts. If you're looking for that kind of show, there's tons of them out there. And one I would recommend wholeheartedly is the Sean Geek and Fast Fret podcast. These guys do a tremendous job, and I listen to their show quite a lot. Actually, they cover more than music. There's a lot of great stuff, but they have Eric Senich on quite a bit, talking about the last show I heard him on, I believe, was Diver Down. It was a tremendous breakdown of Diver Down. They're bringing Eric back on as we record this. They're going to record it this weekend, talking about 5150. And that's going to be really appointment listening. Like if you're a fan of Van Halen, seek out the Sean Geek and Fast Fret podcast, because Eric Senich is going to be on there talking about 5150, and they're going to do a fantastic job. I really enjoy listening to these guys. It's very quickly becoming one of my favorite podcasts, and Eric has agreed to be on this show. He's not one of those guys that says, "Oh, you got this tiny little detail wrong. You guys suck." He's very much you're two dudes kind of rediscovering the discography, which is how we always kind of presented this show. We're not experts. We're becoming reinvested in Van Halen in the way. Mm-hmm. And Eric's going to come on here and set us straight on a bunch of facts, which is great. He said he'd come on any show. We said, come on our 25th. That seems like a good number for Eric to come on from Van Halen News Desk. So I'm very much looking forward to that show. And next week, hopefully we're going to start, getting some fans of the band just kind of on the show and spinning the wheel and talking about their favorite tracks. I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. That's how dare us not be accurate in all of our information. But as we say every week, we are not historians. We are simple fans, and we just dive into this one song at a time, using the best interpretations we can with the resources that we have. But I can't wait for Eric to be on the show. That's going to be great. We've talked a lot about it also, but tune into the Backtracks Aerosmith podcast with Corey and John Mariano, a guest on our show you guys have heard. If you guys haven't checked out that show, you really should, just to if nothing else, just to hear the banter between those two gentlemen, because for me it's a treat.
Well, and earlier tonight, Mark, you guested on an episode, and you actually got to pick the 6 songs that would go on the dice. So we won't, because we're recording. John and I do about 3 a night. So I think only like 3 have been released at this point, but we recorded like 12. So I kind of get lost as to where we are. But when the Mark Kamier episode comes out, I think it's a pretty good one. And John's really starting to piss me off. I really look forward to coming on the show with Mark and having a good time talking about Van Halen. We haven't had a track that we said this dream is over on in quite a while.
I know.
We've gotten some grief, online from some people who said, like Tom Armbruster. He tweeted out recently. He said he went back to listen to It's About Time on the podcast Will Rock, and I wanted to listen to it uninterrupted, but apparently I disliked that song so much I didn't even put it on my phone. He gave it a This Stream Is Over, and that's a song we both liked. So
yeah, hey, look, different strokes for different folks. It's fine. It's going to happen. I hope that he just truly had an experience to where he just wasn't digging the song, and it wasn't just he was being contrary just to be contrary. Don't be that guy. If you want to be that guy on the polls, fine, it's cool, it's Twitter.
John,
you do you. Yeah. John's always going to be that. If we get 75% of yeses, John is going to be the no, and it's just, that is what it is. But it's fine. Hey man, people just have different experiences, just like I'm not going to always say that's what dreams are made of from certain tracks that Corey absolutely adores. There's going to be tracks Corey hates that I think I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't hate that. I like it. It's going to happen, you guys.
I got an ally on my side though. He just started tweeting. He just found the show. His name is Heath McCoy. and we're working on getting him on the show as well. He wrote a book on Stampede Wrestling, which I'm dying to read. I just ordered it. He's Canadian. He's from Saskatoon. Can't find it in Canada though. I had to order it from Europe, so it's coming soon. But we're gonna get him on the show. But he's very much a Dave guy, and he really wants to bust your balls about liking Sammy so much. So I'm looking forward to getting him on the show and hoping we get a Sammy cut, so he can kind of bust your balls a little bit, because I know how much you enjoy that, Mark.
I mean, that would be sweet. That would be the cherry on the sundae. But something tells me, what if the universe decides to throw us a curveball? In that particular episode, it brings us together because it gives us a Gary Sharon tune.
He mentioned he's not a big fan of Gary.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we will find out. We will find out in due course.
And, he said, he can't wait for the How May I Say I episode from Van Halen 3, which I've already said, and I've tipped my hand, maybe the worst Van Halen song I've ever heard. So kind of deep down, I'm kind of hoping maybe that comes up when he's on the show, because, we could all just kind of revel in the misery together.
Revel in the misery, and then, or it'll turn out to be one of the ones that I dig. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
It may turn out that way. You never know what the wheel will spin. We never know what we're going to say, unless it's, of course, a big hit like Panama. You guys should have known this was coming, but hey, that's all par for the course. That's what we do here at And the Podcast Will Rock. Corey, where can the people find you if they want to get in contact with you?
You can find me at CD Morset on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us on our show account at Podcast Will Rock on Twitter and www.podcastwillrock.com. And you can find me talking reluctantly with John Mariano on the Aerosmith show, Backtracks, Aerosmith Revisited. We're striving to create the greatest Aerosmith mixtape of all time. So check us out there. And I guess you could find me on my fictional Wang Chung podcast coming up soon. Everybody podcast tonight, which I know Mark's looking forward to. So now I got to try and pull that out of my ass. But Mark, where can the people find you?
And don't let the shit talk fool you. John and Corey's their chemistry is golden, I assure you. You can find me at Mark the Bat on Twitter and Instagram. And as well as And the Podcast Will Rock, or at Podcast Will Rock, of course, on Twitter, like Corey said. Check out our website, man. Get the merch. Let us know how we're doing. You guys have been really, really active on our social medias, and we love seeing the feedback with where we are. As far as, charts go, like, it's very impressive. We are very humbled by that. It's amazing. And thank you for listening. Keep listening. Tell your friends. Tell them, if nothing else, like, there's these two dudes who talk about Van Halen. One of them's pretty great. The other one just talks out his ass the whole time.
Hey,
let them know. And take a wild guess which ones I'm talking about.
I don't talk out my ass the whole time, just most of the time.
Only when you're impersonating John Mariano. It's fun. There you go. There's my one shot. But yes, but again, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. Be sure to check out all of the great shows on the Deep Dive Podcasting Network. It's not just Van Halen. You got Kiss shows. You got Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, you name it, man. We are a network of rock and roll. And if you are a fan of rock and roll and of podcasts, we might be the home for you. So give that a gander, give it a shot. And once again, this is where we are. One more song down from the wheel, but we've got so much more to go. Tune in next time. Maybe the same time, maybe not, but this is what we do on At the Podcast and the Podcast Will Rock. See, it's been a long day, and we will rock you later.